Hello and welcome back to yet another video, and today you're joining me for some more Le Mans Ultimate. Now, this is not a video that I ever particularly really wanted to make, and we're talking about everyone's favourite subject at the moment, which is driver standards. A quick disclaimer before we get any further into this. I'm absolutely not perfect and I make mistakes just like everyone else does. I'm also not suggesting that the incidents that we're going to see in this video were intentional, because I don't think they were. And lastly, these are just my opinions based on my recent experiences. Naturally, your mileage may vary, pun intended. Now that we've got that out of the way with, if at any point you find yourself enjoying this video or you find it helpful in any way, please remember to hit the like button, and if you want to see more videos like this and support the channel, please consider hitting subscribe. My next big milestone is 1,000 subscribers, so if you can help me out with that, that would be absolutely fantastic. I want to start by saying that I'm not for a minute suggesting that accidents don't happen when it comes to incidents on LMU, because of course accidents absolutely do happen and it's perfectly normal. And despite our best intentions, sometimes we all make silly mistakes, we all misjudge braking zones, we all just get it a little bit wrong sometimes, but for the vast majority of us, we recognise when we do this and we're able to apologise. And also, accepting that these mistakes happen or these accidents happen comes with the territory, especially in daily races. However, in the race that we're looking at today, this was a championship race. Now, for those that don't know, championships are only accessible if you pay for the race control subscription, which I would have thought that subscription cost would deter dangerous driving, or so I thought at least. However, this race might have just proven me wrong. This is round 3 of the LMGT3. I think it's the Bronze Championship. I'll have to double check, but I'm pretty sure it is. And this is split 1, and in this race it is a full lobby, I think, bar one person who has a trusted badge. Now that should tell you that the lobby that you're in is the highest quality drivers on all of LMU. At least that's what it says to me anyway. However, already we're less than 1 lap into the race. We haven't even made it through 2 corners before we've been taken out. The Porsche on our outside decided to run out wide, obviously thinking that would be a safe move to stay as far out of trouble as possible, and then rejoined at such an acute angle for turn 2 that he was never going to make it without having to run out wide through turn 3, which was, for us, as we were on the racing line already, we didn't go off track. That was exactly our trajectory for the corner. Now, if we go back to my onboard for a second and just look at things from my perspective, I can see he's there on the radar, and maybe I could have left a bit more space, but at the end of the day, I've kept it on the track, and he's basically just tried to beat us into the apex to claim that he had the right to the space, which some people might refer to that as the Verstappen tactic or doing a Verstappen. So at this point, we've already picked up some damage, the wheel is pulling slightly to the left, the car's definitely not going to be as easy to drive as what it could be, so we're going to be slow from this point on. And I wish that this was as bad as it got for this race, but the sad reality is that if anything, it just went from bad to worse. So if we move things on just a couple of laps forward, we're on lap 4, we're in 23rd, so we've picked up a couple of positions, and as we head into turn 4, we're following a small group of cars, and right now we are completely unsighted as to what's happening ahead.
Oh shit, here we go again.
You know, sometimes it just kind of feels like you're always in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it's not as if there was a yellow flag either. And if we take a look at the offboard, we can see that our vision is completely blocked by 2 Porsches, and then all of a sudden the gap opens between them and we're greeted by a very unfortunately placed Mercedes right on the racing line. So we've picked up even more damage. I mean, at this point we're carrying so much damage that I'm actually starting to wonder if it would be easier and quicker just to get out and walk, or at least push it, because right now this car feels horrible to drive. I mean, surely it just can't get any worse at this point. However, just when you think things can't get any worse, somehow 4 very short laps later, the LMU gods manage to find a way. The BMW behind just totally forgets to brake, drives straight into the back of us, and that's even more damage for us, sending us all the way back to the back of the field pretty much. And that is, if it wasn't already over, it is completely and utterly over now. If we take a look at the onboard, we can see that he completely overshoots his braking point and just kind of forgets to use his left leg. Why brake when you can just use the car ahead? And since we're on the subject of BMW drivers causing incidents, let's just take a quick look at the previous lap. Look at all of the available space on this track, yet somehow these two are banging doors. And I'm going to say it again, this is split 1 in a lobby of fully trusted drivers, and this is the type of thing that you can expect. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Like I said at the very beginning, I'm not for a minute suggesting that accidents don't happen, because of course they absolutely do. And as the famous saying goes, shit happens. And I know that this is not a problem that is actually specific to LMU, it's just that this is where I notice it the most. For those who watch the great Jimmy Broadbent, which is probably most of you, his latest Sim Racing Stewards video highlights a lot of this. Pretty much 80% of the clips were all from LMU, which does suggest that there is definitely a problem. It must be an incredibly difficult problem to solve for Studio 397, to implement some kind of live stewarding service. I don't even know what the cost of that would be, but something has got to be done about this because it's just becoming so tedious. And when this lands on console, I really hope there's an option to turn crossplay off, because if there isn't, this is going to become so much worse. As I've said in my previous videos, I really don't think the badge system actually works. It's pretty pointless. It's too easy to game the system, and equally it's too easy to game the safety rating system. So something different has got to be done. And especially when it comes to championships, quite frankly, the penalties need to be a lot harsher. I had an incident in the previous round of this championship where I was minding my own business, the two guys were battling behind me, someone drove into the back of me and again completely ruined my race 15 minutes into a 45-minute race. Now, I did file a report and thankfully action was taken, but all he got was a 25-point deduction to his championship, which, quite frankly, is completely pointless. I might as well not have bothered. And the thing that also makes this incredibly frustrating is that if you go to Reddit and try and talk about this kind of issue, there is a whole army of people who just come at you with the just avoid argument. But the fact is, there's some incidents that you just can't avoid. Now, like I said at the beginning, this was not a video that I wanted to make because I know it just seems like complaining for the sake of complaining. You've had a bad race, just let it go. And as someone said to me, LMU online is like Game of Thrones. Most of the time you leave disappointed, but every now and again, it's absolute gold. And I do stand by that. When the racing in LMU is good, it's really, really good. The servers always perform really well. For the most part, the netcode is fantastic. You can have really close door-to-door racing, which is something that you just can't do in iRacing. And not only that, Studio 397 are doing absolutely fantastic work with all of the content and updates that they've brought to LMU over the past year to year and a half. And it's not like they're not doing anything at all to try and combat this problem. Obviously, we did get the badge system, regardless of how I feel about it, they did take steps to try and do something. And I'm confident that as time goes on, we'll go through more and more iterations of what that badge system looks like, how it works, and equally the safety rating as well. I think there needs to be something different with the safety rating, more of like a minimum pace type thing where you can't just drive around slowly at the back of the grid, farming your safety rating to get out of the bronze lobbies into silver, gold, and platinum safety rated lobbies. It also seems reasonable to me that each individual class should also have its own respective safety rating system. At the moment, you can farm up your safety rating and go from LMGT3 straight up to hypercar without ever really having to prove that you are capable of driving a hypercar, which is exactly why I think that some kind of minimum pace type license test, which I believe LFM do this for ACC, would actually work much better than what we have currently. When it comes to daily races, I think I said this, but I can definitely look past it a lot more because you're playing with the entire player base, you're opening yourself up to large splits where there's a varying degree of experience. But for these type of incidents to be happening in championship races where you actually have to pay a subscription fee to access these, I don't think that's particularly good enough. And I'm also not entirely convinced that the punishments fit the crimes. A 25-point deduction to your championship isn't really even a slap on the wrist. As you would expect, intentional wrecking carries a much heavier penalty, but I also think that that should apply to a certain extent to causing collisions too. Championship races only happen at certain times and certain days throughout the week, so if you only have maybe 1 or 2 slots that are available to you and you get taken out by people causing collisions, that's not exactly a fun experience. It's not like there's going to be another one in 20 minutes and it's only a 20-minute race. These are quite a time commitment. This is obviously just my opinion, but my opinion is that a 25-point deduction to your championship doesn't really teach you enough of a lesson about not causing a collision. But maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just looking at this the wrong way. I know that it's the same for everyone, and maybe it's part of online racing that you just have to accept that this is going to happen. But just because it happens doesn't mean that we can't strive for something better. We live in a world now where there's an AI solution for every single problem pretty much. And perhaps in the future we might find a way to leverage that for live race stewarding. I mean, obviously that in itself poses its own challenges, but I don't like to put out a video like this complaining about something with at least trying to think of a solution. I'm not a game developer, I'm just someone who enjoys sim racing, so I don't even know what the feasibility of something like that would be. Although I think it would be fair to say that it would definitely be far too expensive and unsustainable to employ a whole lot of people to just sit and watch races as they happen live. I feel like I've ranted enough about this now. And to be honest, I did try and make it a little bit fun earlier on in the video, but I do think this is a genuinely serious issue that needs to be addressed in some way, shape or form. And the only way that's going to happen is by bringing it to the attention of the developers. Now, I've criticised the reports, but if you find yourself in a situation where you are taken out due to someone causing a collision behind you, you absolutely need to make sure that you're using the report function. That's what it's there for. At the time of me recording this video, I had filed 3 reports from this race that we're looking at right now, and I got 3 email confirmations that action had been taken against all 3 of them. Even if the penalties that were imposed weren't necessarily the best, it's all valuable data for the guys at 397 to do something with that. As always, if you've made it this far into the video, thank you very much for sitting and listening to me ramble, and especially in this video where it was literally just a rant. If your experiences are similar to mine with championships, let me know in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious to know. And as always, if you like this video and you found it helpful in any way, please do consider hitting the like button. It really does help me out with the videos. And also, if you want to support the channel and see more content like this, please consider hitting subscribe. My next big milestone is to try and get to 1,000 subscribers, so if you can help me out, I would be incredibly grateful. But until the next time, take it easy, keep yourself out of those pesky incidents, and I will catch you in the next one.